because like all of those Sega CD games, they couldn't really figure out how to mesh full motion video with sort of like a constantly updating like interactive game. So it was mostly like you just like watched clip after clip, and most of it was I believe it was a house full of like women having a slumber party or something like that, and it was like a fucking Fred Olen Ray movie where they're all in like slinky lingerie.
Gross.
And one by one they all get killed.
Well, it's funny you say that because a Sega executive testified before Congress, and he explained that this is a game made for adults. It is not for children. And also, quote, if you are a good player, you keep the bad guys from the women, end quote. I don't think you're helping, guy from Sega. You're definitely not helping now.
Yeah.
So that was going on. And in Bob Packwood news, we haven't checked in on Bob Packwood in a while.
What's going on with the whole Packwood?
Well, lawyers for the Senate told a judge that Bob Packwood, after they basically had to rip his diary from his trembling hands, that he had altered it before handing it over to them. And the judge was not pleased.
Remember when federal judges actually were interested in prosecuting fucking politicians?
Remember when people had standards and shame? What do you think Bob Packwood's diary? How salacious could it have been? This is a white, aged Republican man.
Have you ever? Did you ever watch It's Always Sunny?
No.
Oh, there is an episode.
Seen it. I mean,
there's an episode called Dennis Reynolds and an Erotic Life where he reads from his fucking erotic diaries, and it's the worst shit you've ever heard. I'm probably going to put a clip right here for laughs, though.
A man enters. The room wouldn't be the only thing he'd enter that day. His name was Dennis.
I'm sorry, what is happening?
Silence, he said. A woman's mouth is not for the exiting of words, but for the entrance of a man's dick. And then he did put it in there. In her mouth, I mean. Okay. And then they have sex all over the library.
Okay,
Like, maybe it's that, but like, what middle-aged man is writing a sexy diary?
I don't know. RFK's got one.
What is wrong with these people?
You know what? They're fucking, you know what it is that is fucking serial killer behavior. Cause like they gotta have some record of their conquests that they can like look back upon.
Just have sex with people and be normal.
They can't. They're people who actually want to work in the government.
Good. Well, that's what's going on with Bob Pack. Oh, but speaking of the government, we check back in with the Clintons' welfare task force.
Oh, no.
Because they're making good choices, too. It was decided that it was of the utmost importance to, quote, identify the fathers of virtually all children born outside of marriage, end quote.
No.
Now, this was in order to force them into a mandatory work program that, in case you're not familiar, would eventually shift the burden of all of this to poor people.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
God, the fucking Clintons, man.
Good choice. Yeah,
I can't believe that we have any fucking good feelings about them at all.
It is pretty remarkable. Now, I will say, I guess in their defense, they were trying to get some good things done, but they were doing so at the expense of like the most vulnerable people. Like being like, well, I guess we'll go with don't ask, don't tell, rather than kicking all the gay people out of the military. Like that was an acceptable compromise. And it's like, do you not see how something like don't ask, don't tell could be profoundly harmful to someone's psyche?
Yeah.
No, I guess not.
Nah.
Well, that's the Clintons. And hey, while we're at it, why don't we just check in with Russia? See how that's going. Meanwhile, in Russia, extremist politician Vladimir, I'm going to try it, Zhirinovsky.
Zhirinovsky, yeah, you're close.
I knew it. He pulled ahead in his campaign to lead the Russian parliament. Now, for those people who are not familiar with Vlad, he has a long history of threatening and violent behavior towards his opponents, including throwing a glass of orange juice at someone during a debate, getting into a fist fight on live television with a political opponent, and starting a brawl on the floor of Parliament in 2005. He sounds like a delight.
He's a lot. He's a lot.
He basically just sounds like Russia. It's like this is just how they kind of wind down, because he won. He won this. He will win this campaign.
Yeah. Right. But he never fully, the whole thing, he paves the way for Vladimir Putin, but he never fully gets the backing of the oligarchs behind him. Yep. And so Russia never really kind of coalesces in the way that it does eventually behind a guy that the oligarchs can support.
Do you think Boris Yeltsin felt really bad?
Probably not.
You don't think he was just like, but I tried so hard. I could have been bad man, and I tried so hard.
I don't know. My guess is probably no.
Yeah, he was probably just like, fuck all of you. I am out of here.
I'm out of here. Get me the fuck out of here. We'll go work for the United Nations.
Dear God.
Yep.
We are a terrible species. Well, that's this week in 90s news.
Yeah. Oh, good God, man. The 90s were so fucking great.
Yep. Got to bring back that hot fashion, too. Hot 93 fashion. We're going to get some hot fashion in this episode, too.
It wasn't all hypercolor.
No.
So this episode's writer was Chris Carter, and this feels like a very Chris Carter episode.
Yep. Because it is sexist as hell.
So, this one is just full throttle, too.
Mm-hmm.
The director was Larry Shaw, which is his second to last series episode. The one he did before this was Fallen Angel, which we talked about a couple episodes back.
I believe he was a showrunner on Desperate Housewives.
Yes, he was. He did a couple of series.
Yeah, Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Right. But yeah, this was that was probably the one he's probably best known for. The character Phoebe Green, who is Mulder's ex in this episode, was meant to be a recurring character, but a weirdo fan base was starting to form around the show, and the endless shipping of Mulder and Scully made them write angry letters to the network about Mulder having a love interest that wasn't Scully.
Now, look, I hate where it comes from, but I also understand it, because I don't want a love interest. I just hate when they do the whole tension between Mulder and Scully as a plot device thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like they've got to be unified. That's how they win the day. And so this like constant, like, what if we throw this thing in where they don't trust each other? And like, then of course, because it's like Chris, nice guys finish last, Carter, we got to have like a weird misogynistic plot twist or whatever. And I don't like it. I don't like when they're just like, let's take Scully out of the equation. It's like, motherfucker, you are 10 episodes in. You know you can't do that.
This is a lot like shit. What was the last time that they did this? Because we also remarked upon it in that one where
the one where they're at the
that's the one where they split them up, and they don't have that sort of like they're acting against each other, and then this one they're hardly together at all.
Yeah, and this show lives and dies on their chemistry, and so when you break that chemistry, it ruins the whole show. And this sucks because not only are they like, Mulder's got a new love interest, she's also an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. And like she's like a fucking psychopath on top of it
and
all.
His personality is like a little bit warped in order to accommodate this new character that they wanted to add. And it's like, this sucks. Fuck all of you.
I know. Like, I think eventually they're going to figure it out, and they're going to stop doing that. But in the first season, they've got all these episodes written where they're just trying different things out. And I think they're going to eventually just
in this.
Yeah, they're going to try and they're going to understand that their dynamic has to be that they're always moving in the same direction, even though they represent like different points of view.
Right.
And when it's not happening, it's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. And this one in particular, like it gets exhausting and tedious.
Tedious is, I have that word is written several times in my notes here.
Well, it's not a bad episode.
No, that's the thing is, I think, like I said, like I always remember this one being a bit of a slog, but when I watched it this time, I was like, the premise is cool. It's got a little bit of tension.
It's this shoehorned love story that really throws it off. It's like, you didn't need this. It's fucking stupid and it goes nowhere. You may as well just left it.
You've been listening to a sample of our Patreon exclusive podcast, Do You Think I'm Spooky? For access to all our past premium episodes, go to patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod, where you can subscribe for $5 a month. Your support also gets you access to Radio Free Haddonfield, my bi-weekly DJ show for the weeks when Do You Think I'm Spooky is off. That's an extra episode of content on the weekly from your favorite podcast. We love and appreciate every one of our listeners, and your support makes this whole enterprise worthwhile. Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. Sign up for the $5 tier today.